Let's keep the series going, talking about 25 or 30 more Lincoln cents that are worth really good money, because nothing's better than turning the coins in your pocket into more money. This is the greatest hobby ever. They used to call it the hobby of kings and queens, because that was the only people that could ever afford to collect money back in the day. But nowadays, any one of us can strike it rich with the coins right in our pocket. So, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're into collecting really anything, but most notably your coins and banknotes, because all the prices I give you are from certified auction sales within the last few years. So everything's recent and everything is real. So hit subscribe, hit the notification button so you see the next videos coming out, but let's get to talking about some more really valuable pennies. The first one is a Philadelphia true masterpiece. It's a beautiful coin, graded MS67 plus red with CAC approval through PCGS. It sold for $16,800 in the beginning of 2025. This Philadelphia coin really shows one of those high-end examples from a coin that had 310 million of them made. It's one of only 4 in that grade, with none finer. It has this beautiful fire orange, kind of gold and pale rose color that blends into that sharp strike. It has a great luster as well, which is a big factor when it comes to grade and condition of a coin, and it's on the obverse and reverse. It really puts it in a top tier. The coin's surface is also nearly flawless, but it does have a faint mark on the letter T in the word cent. A tip is that MS67 reds or higher are the ceiling for this year. So even though this coin commanded a huge amount of value, you can see ones in lower MS grades from MS60 and higher still commanding hundreds or even thousands. The next one is from the Denver Mint, a 1920D graded MS66 red. It sold for $15,600 in January of 2025, and this Denver issue is known for soft strikes and dull toning usually. But this one being in a full red gem kind of prestige in that upper MS66 red condition really is kind of mythical. This coin is from the Bywald Whispering Pines Providence, so that adds to some of that value. It's one of just 10 MS66 reds that are certified. It has a great luster, it's really intense, and one of the biggest eye appeal and draws to this coin. You'll notice when you look up 1920D Lincoln cents that red-brown or brown examples are going to sell for far less. However, when they're still graded pretty high, they're going to sell for the hundreds or even thousands pretty regularly. The third coin is out of San Francisco, and I think it's a bit of a sleeper. This one sold for $3,360 in the middle of 2025. It's graded MS64 red, and it's an absolutely beautiful coin. I think that these San Francisco minted coins are often overlooked. Even mid-tier grades can sell for hundreds of dollars. This MS64 red really glows with that gold and copper brilliance that you see on a true red coin. And despite being 2 points lower than the others, it really has a scarcity in the color department and is a real standout. You'll see values really skyrocket with 1920S cents if they have a good eye appeal. A clean, fully red MS64 can outperform a duller MS65 or 66 on the market pretty regularly. So why do I think the 1920 stands out? It really reveals a fascinating truth. Even common date wheat pennies like this can become elite collectibles. It's not really about the mintage that defines the rarity, it's really the condition. 1921 wasn't just another year for the Lincoln cent, I think. It was really a test of endurance. The US Mint was really struggling with worn dies, low production demand, and an inconsistent striking quality overall. The result from this, coins that looked ordinary on the surface were really concealing a quiet rarity. Today, most collectors overlook the 1921 series, I think, because until they discover what a full red 1921S cent can be worth, they're not really interested. We're going to dive into 3 different examples. There was no Denver Mint Mark pennies for this year, so that's something to keep in mind for 1921, so don't be confused if you don't hear one in this segment. Now, the early 1920s were a recovery period. It was following the post-war slowdown, demand for the 1-cent coins had dropped, and the mint's focus was just shifting towards larger denominations. So as a result, the dies used for cents were often overused and under-maintained, leading to weak details and really dull surfaces for this year of Lincoln cent. At the Philadelphia Mint, over 39 million cents were struck, which was a moderate total. But San Francisco, just 15.2 million were struck, marking one of the lowest mintages of the decade. This combination, I think, of low production and weak strikes has really made high-grade, high-condition examples of especially 1921 S cents among some of the toughest to find in the era of wheat cents. So let's talk about those examples. We have one out of Philadelphia. It's a 1921 Lincoln cent, of course, and it sold in October of 2025 for a really good price, $119. Now, this one represents the heart of the 1921 series. It was graded a solid mid-MS grade at MS64 red and brown through Annex. Sometimes PCGS can hold a little bit higher premium when it's seen selling in auctions comparatively, but Annex, of course, is a great grading company. And at first glance, it's a simple Philadelphia strike, but it has a warm brown and reddish hue. It's really pretty, but when you look closer, you'll see subtle cartwheel luster to it and a clean surface that makes this grade a really difficult one to achieve, I think. With more than 39 million struck, these are common in circulation still, even with that lower mintage. The red-brown survivors in mint state like this are really gaining traction, and I think for under $150, it's a coin that can be added to any collection and is going to gain value noticeably over the years to come. Next, we head over to the San Francisco Mint, which is home to one of the most challenging Lincoln cents ever produced. This PCGS MS64 red and brown is an example that shows how tough it is to find a really clean, original luster, a bit of that red toning left from the mint, on an S mint from 1921. Weakly struck wheat ears, mushy details in Lincoln's hair and jawline, and inconsistent color are really common for this year. Yet this coin breaks that mold definitely. The red-brown tones display faint orange in them in this really, really pretty rose accent. A balance that I think gives collectors a good taste of what full red might look like, but isn't breaking that $10,000 price tag mark. This one sold at $432. It's a strong reminder that eye appeal can really outweigh some other factors. Lastly, I wanted to touch on one that sold for a crazy amount of money. It's a 1921 S Lincoln cent that was graded MS65 red, and it sold in January of 2025 for $36,000. So here it is, this beautiful coin out of the Whispering Pines collection. It has a great grade of MS65. It's among the finest known examples of this year of Lincoln cent. Only 5 certified with the CAC approval. Q. David Bowers even wrote about this coin, saying, "Connoisseurship combined with patience is needed to land a truly choice prize like this one." And that statement really could not be truer when it comes to this golden copper and sun orange lustered coin here. It's completely free of carbon spotting. It's near the high end of what could ever be expected of one of these coins. It's just 25 pieces in MS65 red with none finer, and this coin stands as really a pinnacle of the 1921 S collecting realm. The $36,000 auction price wasn't just for the beauty, it's for the survival, the history, and really the perfection in a year where all 3 were nearly impossible. I think if there's anything that 1921 teaches collectors, it's that rarity isn't always about how many were struck. It's about how many survived in a brilliant condition. 1922 No D strong reverse variety. This one is graded MS64 red and brown, and it sold in January of 2024 for $72,000. Now, it's really easy to see why. It's designated as die pair 2 or FS401. This coin comes from the exact die pair responsible for the most famous version of the missing mint mark. The strike shows a really strong reverse design with fully formed lettering and really strong Lincoln details. This is a dead giveaway that this isn't a weak D, but it's a genuine no D strong reverse. So this example is from the Peter Scherer collection and displays a really beautiful fiery brick red color. There's really no marks on it, it's CAC approved, which confirms its originality. There's just a handful that exist in near gem condition, making this one of the most desirable Lincoln cent varieties ever minted. Next is a standard 1922 D Lincoln cent. This one sold in November of 2025 for $564. This comes out of that mintage of just 7.1 million, and it's not rare by count, but truly original mint stake examples like this are really tough to locate. So even at MS64, the standard Denver 1922 Lincoln cent can command really good value. I think collectors prize these coins with even natural red-brown coloration and that strong central detail. Most 1922 D cents will have really soft strikes, primarily on Lincoln's jaw and his beard, so finding an example with crisp devices like this one is really rare. While not as famous as the No D, this coin shows what a properly struck Denver cent can sell for in really good condition. Then there's the weak D. It's a transitional error between the standard D and the fully missing one. This MS62 brown through PCGS sold back in October of 2025 for just over $500. This represents what happens when the mint mark is barely visible due to that excessive die polishing. The obverse shows Lincoln's features really clearly, but a really ghost-like D below the date. So it's a trait that's fooled countless collectors. The true weak D coins still display remnants of the mint mark under magnification, unlike the strong reverse varieties where it's completely gone. It's an essential piece in completing the variety trio. Now let's talk about even circulated examples that tell a story. This VF25 brown no D strong reverse sold in 2025 for $960. And it's going to really show that bold reverse striking and clean obverse designs can really command good value even in circulated conditions. It's a mid-grade specimen that has that appeal to collectors who want to have a genuine no D coin without venturing into a five-figure territory. I think as demand for certified early Lincoln cents continues to go up, even modest grade strong reverse examples like this one are going to double in value over the next decade. The 1923 Lincoln cent. The mint was back to a more routine production after the turmoil of 1922. If you want to know about that, watch my previous video. But routine didn't mean perfect. Only Philadelphia and San Francisco would strike cents that year. Philadelphia would mint 74.7 million, and San Francisco just a small amount, 8.7 million. All 1923 cents are that familiar 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc bronze and weigh 3.11 grams. Most entered circulation and were handled hard. That mass circulation means survivors in full original red or an exceptional red and brown mint state are rare. Not because few were struck, but because few stayed pristine. So really good condition 1923s of any type are worth holding on to. Now let's get to those three coins that tell us the story. We'll use three auction examples to show the range. An attainable MS64 red-brown found in circulation, a once-in-a-decade MS68 red that's absolutely beautiful, and a high-quality San Francisco MS64 red-brown. Let's start off with the bread and butter mint state for 1923. It's a good strike, it's solid fields, warm red-brown color. In many ways, this is that entry point for collectors who want an original, unaltered 1923 mint state Lincoln cent without paying the registry prices. The coin has decent cartwheel luster to it. It's really beautiful. It goes from the center to an outward rim color of a nice modest red. It proves the point to these. You can own a true mint state 1923 for regular money. It sold in November of 2025 for $109. Now, a tip is really look for evenly distributed color and minimal contact marks on these years of Lincoln cent. The next one is an exceptional coin. This coin is the counter argument to that common date. Out of 74 million, only 3 have reached MS68 red at PCGS. This Whispering Pine specimen is a top of the world registry tier piece. It's vivid, it has a fire orange center, blending to a rose gold margin. It's absolutely beautiful with its satiny mint luster, and it has a razor sharp strike. That combination of strike, color, and surface perfection is really what makes this MS68 red effectively priceless compared to the average 1923 we spoke about a moment ago. This one sold in January of 2025 for $24,000. At this level, provenance and pedigree really matter. Small, unique pedigree marks, a speck on the wheat ear, a tiny edge mark, really help distinguish one MS68 from another. And those identifiers travel with the coin throughout auction catalogs. Let's round things out with the San Francisco 1923 that's scarcer and harder struck than its Philly cousin. This one sold in February of 2024 for $1,446. This CAC approved MS64 red brown proves really why CAC matters. It confirms the coin's originality and above average eye appeal. The PCGS plus that CAC combo really got bidding going for this coin. That color is natural on the coin, and the surfaces are premium for the grade. For S mint mark examples, you really want to look at the wheat stalks and the reverse details. S dies often produced weaker devices. A strong reverse strike and fully defined wheat stalks are really what defines a premium coin for this year. Let's talk why condition drives value. Most 1923s in circulation are worth the average, about $2 or $3 in decent shape. But graded coins, and as the grade line goes upward dramatically, it tightens the population and the prices go really skyward. MS64 red browns sell in the low hundreds. CAC approved MS64Ss climb into 4 figures, and like that MS68 red, 3 are only known, so they're in the mid 5-figure range. That steep value curve really shows how survival and originality will trump that mintage. We begin in Philadelphia, where over 75 million Lincoln cents were struck in 1924. Most rolled out in ordinary fashion, with little fanfare, but one coin rose far above the rest. This 1924 MS67 red through PCGS with CAC approval from the famed Whispering Pines collection sold for $11,400 in January of 2024. Graded MS67 red, it sits tied at finest known, one of only 2 red superb gems to earn CAC approval. The coin gleams with that frosty orange luster and a really striking sharpness. It's really a visual time capsule from a century ago. Only 14 examples exist at this level, with none graded higher. For collectors, that CAC sticker means more than eye appeal. It's validation of originality, color stability, and an untouched surface. In red designation, spots or streaks under a bright light are signs of unstable copper that can fade over time. Next we head west to Denver, the source of one of the lowest mintage cents of the decade. The 1924 D had a mintage of just over 2.5 million. And while that number seems respectable, survival in full red mint state nearly non-existent. This MS65 red 1924 D sold for $5,520 in February of 2025. It has a beautiful deep amber toning and a flawless original coloring across the entire coin. The color alone really sets it apart. It's rich, it's even, and really beautifully stable. I think what collectors crave most, though, is the authenticity of surface. Not over-dipped, not recolored, but naturally preserved the day it left the press. Only 19 coins have earned this grade through NGC, with just 2 finer. When buying 1924Ds, you'll want to prioritize eye appeal and texture. Sharp wheat lines on the reverse and soft red luster to the overall coin will often beat out higher technical grades when it comes to long-term value. Finally, we reach the 1924S, perhaps the most dramatic story of all. Struck from worn dies, plagued with weak strikes, and limited to just 11.7 million pieces, the 1924S is a notorious challenge in any high grade. But when one surfaces in full blazing red, it is a showstopper. This MS65 red through PCGS from the Mershon Bender Whispering Pines collection sold for $66,000 in the beginning of 2025. This is tied for finest known with one of only 10 graded at that level and none finer. The surfaces really glow on this one with a sunset orange color. It has a delicate accent to it with flakes of that original carbon, the kind of thing that has toning collectors dream about. This coin's history also stretches through several legendary collections, adding pedigree after pedigree. Really, with any San Francisco cent, a strong strike and a consistent color is going to garner the best premiums. The 1924 Lincoln Cent series is really a masterclass in subtlety. It's a reminder, I think, that not every rarity screams from mintage numbers alone. First one is the Red Surprise. It sold for $134 in November of 2025. It's a 1925 MS65 red, and despite a mintage of nearly 140 million of them, high-grade red examples from Philadelphia are far scarcer than expected. This MS65 red is a perfect example of what a well-preserved 1925 Lincoln cent should look like. It has glowing surfaces, really crisp design, and no serious spots or carbon stains. It's a combination that is really surprisingly elusive today. With a wholesale value of around $100, this $134 auction price really reinforces one thing, I think. Bright red survivors from the mid-20s are going to command good price pretty much any time they go to auction. For 1925 Philadelphia cents, you'll really want to focus on the evenness of the red color, so it maintains that color across the whole coin. Many MS65 reds actually still show some patchy toning, but full, stable color across both sides narrows the population dramatically and really pops with that eye appeal, driving value up. Let's talk about the tough Denver brown version of this coin. It's a 1925D MS63 brown through NGC. It sold for $104, a great price for a 1-cent coin, selling in November of 2025. Denver minted far fewer coins in 1925, and their strikes are notoriously inconsistent. This MS63 brown example is really one of just 67 graded at this level, with only 89 of them finer or so. The coin shows what you expect from a strong Denver strike. It has firm lettering, defined wheat lines, and a really smooth chocolate brown patina that's really beautiful. I think many collectors love it. For a brown coin, not red brown, to break the $100 mark tells you everything you need to know about how competitive this date is when it gets into the upper conditions. For the 1925Ds, prioritize the jawline, the beard detail, really look at Lincoln for really good strike quality. Also look on the reverse for the quality of the impressions in the lettering. Weak areas here are extremely common for 1925Ds, but any 1925D in decent condition is worth holding on to. The third coin is the San Francisco Workhorse. It's a 1925S, graded at about uncirculated 58 through PCGS. It sold for $79, a really solid price in 2025, and the San Francisco Mint was really famous for tough strikes during the 20s, and 1925 is really no exception to that. This AU-58 example really represents the highest, almost uncirculated tier a coin just shy of mint state with a great luster can still have. At $79, this sale shows how tightly people competed for pre-1930 S mint survivors in even high AU grade. Look closely at the wheat stalks on S mint cents. You want really sharp, raised kernels, and those are much rarer than you'd expect. And they separate those $20, $30, $40 coins from those $80 to $100 coins. The Philly Strike. Nearly 157 million were minted, and the vast majority of them spent decades circulating. When collectors talk about early Lincoln cents with great luster, the conversation usually sticks to the 23, 25, or some of the better struck teens. But every now and then, and I mean rarely, a 1926 comes along that looks like it just skipped history altogether. One of these surfaced this past November. It is a handsome MS66 red, graded by PCGS, and it sold for $312. Now, that's not pocket change money, but it's exactly what a top-tier, yet attainable example from this date could bring. It had solid color, clean surfaces, and really no major marks. This is the type of Philly Strike collectors like to use as really a baseline, something to fill the hole while still feeling like you've got that quality coin without hitting the thousands of dollars. Now, speaking of thousands of dollars, let's talk about the one that stole the spotlight, and honestly, I think the entire year. In January of 2025, the market saw the finest known 1926 Lincoln cent. Rated PCGS MS68 red, this one is out of the Whispering Pines collection. This isn't just a high-grade coin. It's a solo finest population of one with none graded higher. And you can see why just from these images in this video. It's frosty orange, it has almost an orange gold luster, razor sharp details to it, and not a single noticeable distraction on either surface. It's the type of coin that looks like it was plucked straight off the press, sealed in a time capsule, and then put into a collection. The hammer price, $36,000. Now that's not a number you throw around lightly for a common date, but when you're dealing with a population 1 coin, the absolute top of the pyramid, so to speak, that's what happens. Collectors of registry sets fight for these, and they don't let them go quietly. The bidding was intense for this coin, and the value shows that. Next up, the Denver Gem. 1926D is one of those dates where strike quality varies wildly. Weak impressions, mushy details, and uneven color are the norm for 1926Ds. So when you see a Denver coin that breaks this pattern, I think collectors perk up. Earlier in the year, a beautiful MS65 red 1926D crossed the block from the MNO collection. Smooth satin luster to it, it has this beautiful lilac red toning, and Lincoln's portrait is really clean. This one brought $2,520, and that number really makes sense. PCGS has only a handful of red examples finer. For D-mint Lincoln cents in the mid-1920s, a gem red is no joke. And because Denver's quality was hit or miss, finding one that looks this good is like finding an exception to the rule. Finally, let's talk about the troublemaker of the bunch, the 1926S. Anyone who collects early S mint Lincoln cents knows the deal. These things are beat up from the start. The strikes were soft, the dies were tired out, and clean, high-grade examples are genuinely tough. So when an MS64 red-brown example comes along with a CAC sticker, you know you're looking at something that passed 2 tests instead of 1. This particular coin sold in August of 2025 for $6,000, and that falls right in line with how difficult the 1926S is in any grade with good eye appeal. The CAC population, still tiny. The mint state survivors with strong color, smaller. The 1926S isn't one of those glamorous dates, but it's a date that quietly demands respect. Let's start with the good news for new collectors. If you want a coin that looks brand new, like it just fell out of a time machine from 1927, you don't have to spend a fortune. Take a look at this 1927 MS65 Red that sold in November of 2025. This is a gem coin. It has full red luster, sharp wheat stalks. It's sold for $159. I want new collectors to really pay attention here. For less than $200, you can own a nearly 100-year-old coin in gem condition. This is the sweet spot, I think. It's affordable, but it separates your collection from the average bucket of Wheaties immediately. But if you want a coin that's just 2 points higher, this is where 1927 gets wild. On May 1st of 2025, this 1927 MS67 Plus Red crossed the auction block. Visually, it's stunning. The auction notes describe hints of rose and orange on the rims, with bright copper gold luster in the center of the coin. It's sharp, it's clean, and it has a tiny mark in the right field that actually serves as a pedigree marker. A fingerprint of history, so to speak. This one sold for $4,800. So we went from $159 to $4,800 just by moving from MS65 to MS67 Plus. Why? Because while 1927 is common, finding one this clean is statistically nearly impossible. There's only one single coin graded finer than this one at PCGS. This is a coin for the person who needs the best of the best. Now we have to talk about the West Coast. The 1927S is notorious. San Francisco strikes in the 20s were often weak, mushy, and plagued by bad planchets. Finding a red example is extremely difficult. That's why this next coin, which sold in April of 2025, brought such a massive number. This is a 1927 S MS64 Plus Red, and critically, it has a CAC sticker. It's not even a gem MS65, it's a 64 Plus, but because it has that luminous copper red luster and no carbon spotting at all, it sold for $7,200. Think about it. This MS64 coin is worth more than the MS67 Philadelphia we just looked at. That is the power of the San Francisco mint mark. In the world of condition rarity, a clean, red 1927S is a holy grail, and the price tag proves it. Finally, let's look at Denver. 1927D is another tough date, with a lower mintage of just 27 million. If you can't drop $7,000 on a coin, don't worry. Look at this sale from November of 2025 for a 1927D MS64 red and brown. Notice the RB designation. It means the coin has mellowed a bit. It's not blazing orange anymore, but because of that, the price was just $192. For a mint state Denver coin from the 20s, that is a steal. You get the detail, you get the history, but you save thousands of dollars just by accepting a little bit of toning. I actually like the toning. For a binder collection, this is exactly the kind of coin I love to see. So what's my take? What does the class of 1927 teach us? It teaches us about the gap. If you are just starting out, you can build an incredible set of 1927s for under $500 all graded. They look great, and they hold their value. But if you are a registry player, 1927 is a bit of a battlefield. That jump to MS67 Plus or finding a clean red S mint mark coin is where the serious money changes hands. So my advice, if you're new, grab that MS65 red Philly. It's an affordable piece of history that looks spectacular in your collection. The coin that defines the 1928 market dynamic, the 1928S. This wheat cent is from a mint that had the lowest production of the year, at just over 17 million cents. Finding a beautiful, clean example is really a nightmare. They're hard to come by. That's why a sale from November 11th, 2025 brought such a massive number. A 1928S, rated MS64 red and brown, sold for $504. Think about that for a moment. This coin isn't even a technical gem. It's an MS64, but because it has that crucial red-brown luster and it survived the often poor San Francisco strikes, collectors are willing to pay up. This proves the rule. Mintage beats grade when you're dealing with the S Mint mark for 1928. Now let's travel back to Philadelphia and talk about an accessible gem. If you want a coin that looks brand new for a fraction of the price of that S Mint, this is where you shop. Take a look at this 1928 MS65 Red. It's sold on the very same day for $119. This is a certified beautiful gem MS65 Red. It has blazing copper luster and the sharp detail you expect from all those Philly issues during this year. The contrast is really astonishing. You can buy this coin at MS65 Red for just 1/4 of the price of that San Francisco coin. I think this is a sweet spot for collectors building a spectacular set on a budget. Now finally, we're going to examine the Denver Mint Brown Trade-Off coin. The 1928D had a tough mintage of just over 31 million, so it makes it really scarce compared to that Philadelphia issue. This specific coin demonstrates the market value of color trade-offs. This 1928D is graded MS65 Brown and sold for $186. Now notice the key difference though. It's a gem MS65, but it's graded brown. The mellowed color means a lower price ceiling than a red example, but it still commanded $67 more than the Philadelphia MS65. That premium exists because the Denver mintage is significantly lower. This proves collectors will pay more for a scarce issue. So what's the key takeaway for 1928? It's the ultimate lesson in grade versus rarity. The San Francisco issue confirms that if a coin is rare enough, the grade number is almost secondary to the color and preservation. That $500 coin is a constant reminder of the power of the S Mint mark for 1928. Now for the smart buyer, 1928 is also full of opportunities. You can get a gem coin for about $100. You can't beat that when it comes to old wheat cents. So whether you're hunting for the accessible gem or those higher dollar S Mint marks, 1928 covers the whole collecting spectrum. We start with the Philadelphia issue, the Philly Perfection. Typically the 1929 Philly cent is the most common coin of that year. Mintage numbers were really high, and they are generally available on the market. But availability changes when you demand perfection. On January 16th, 2025, a 1929 Lincoln cent, graded MS67 plus red, from the famous Whispering Pines collection, sold for $5,160. Why $5,000 for a coin with no mint mark? This is the definition of rare air. This coin earned the plus designation, meaning it is at the very high end of the grade. And the CAC green sticker, this certifies quality. The population report explains the price. There are 0 coins finer than this one. When you are building a registry set and competing for the #1 spot, you cannot improve upon this coin. In essence, you're paying for the statistical impossibility of improving your collection. This is what drives a common date into that 4-figure stratosphere. Now let's talk about the $10,000 Denver King. Next, we move to the heavyweight champion of the group, the 1929D. Now you can see a wide gamut of prices on these, from a few dollars and upwards of thousands. Denver coins from the late 20s are really notorious for strike issues. Now there are errors in the Philadelphia, Denver, and the San Francisco strikes, but I'll get to that in another video. Finding them with sharp wheat ears and defined hair details is exceptionally difficult. In August of 2025, a 1929D MS66 Plus Red sold for an eye-watering $10,800. So let me break that down on why this coin is double the price of the Philadelphia example, when that one, I called it the Philly Perfection. It is currently tied for the finest known at either grading service. There is not a single 1929D in existence that's graded MS67 at PCGS or NGC. The ceiling is MS66 Plus, and this ceiling is even lower at Annex. This specific coin is the gatekeeper for the finest possible set of Lincoln cents. So now you can probably get why it had such a huge price tag. That $10,800 price tag isn't just for the copper, of course. It's for the exclusivity. It is the ultimate barrier to entry for the elite collector. Now let's talk about the other mint and the San Francisco spread. A $154 coin versus an almost $8,000 coin. We arrive at the most critical lesson for your wallet, and you can apply this to really any coin. The San Francisco Mint comparison on these will show you what to look for. We have two 1929 cents. These will expose the brutal reality of the red premium. First, look at the accessible option. On November 11th, 2025, a 1929 MS65 red and brown sold for $154. Now that is an awesome price for a mid-MS grade Lincoln cent. This is a gem quality coin. It's uncirculated, it has history, but because the copper has mellowed to a brown tone, it is affordable. Now compare that to the following monster that sold on June 16th of 2025. This is another 1929 but this one's graded MS66 plus red and sold for $7,800. So look at that math. We're talking about a $7,600 price difference based on 1 point of grading and color of the surface. The MS66 plus red is a condition census coin. It is one of the top handful known to exist. This one's going to have that population and flash that the registry buyers demand. The lesson here is really a harsh but simple one. If you collect for history, buy the $150 coin. If you collect for investment potential and or status, you have to pay up that $7,800 entrance fee. The market punishes brown tone coins and rewards red tone coins. This will always be seen with exponential multipliers to the premiums. So what is the core lesson of the 1929 market? It proves that in high-end numismatics, scarcity is really relative. A 1929 penny is common. A 1929 penny in MS66 plus red is a bit of a unicorn. The $10,800 Denver sale proves that collectors will pay up to secure a finest known spot. That $5,000 Philly coin also proves that even common dates become rarities at the very top of the population report. All right, guys, there you have it. I think a pretty good list, kind of continuing on the whole series for Lincoln cents from the beginning of them all the way to current. If you enjoyed the video, jump in the comments. Let me know what you're looking for recently and what you found recently in your coin hunts. I love hearing about all the treasure you guys are finding, so make sure to hit me up in the comments and drop images in my community tab. Alright guys, I'll see you guys in the next video, I'll see you in the comments, and I hope you have an awesome day. See you later.